Let's go on the bench. What you say, I'm obsessed.
Yo, what's up guys, Impulse7 here, and today I'm bringing a new video. In this video, I'm going to be doing my summary video on Pizza Kit. Honestly, this was my least favorite story of the three, but it's the final story in the Puppet Carver, the final full story at least. I'm still going to do another video on the Stitch Race story, so stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to read it later today. I feel like I'm recording this kind of late into the day when the video is coming out today, but don't worry. It's fine. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get to it. So the main character is Peyton, though the description says it's Marley, but it's Peyton. The book has a lot of mistakes, as I'll go over in this video, so yeah, I think the description saying it's Marley is a mistake as well. Anyways, Peyton and Marley are best friends, and they're taking a home economics class. Marley had talked Peyton into the class because she didn't really, Peyton didn't really want to do it, but she knew it was probably going to be an easy class to get an A in, so Peyton still didn't want to do it. She'd prefer chemistry or whatever, but yeah. So the teacher's named Mrs. Crutchfield, and apparently she's like really old. Also, there's no boys in the class. Next up, they misspell Peyton with an E instead of an A and mess up some grammar. Add an extra comma where there shouldn't have been. Anyways, Peyton whispers to Marley saying, "I ate a kit, a Freddy Fazbear's pizza kit," which was supposed to be a joke, but I don't really see how. I guess maybe because they think it's lame or something. But basically, everybody loved Freddy Fazbear's pizza kits, even in high school, mostly because of nostalgia. But Peyton and Marley kind of think they're lame at this point, but still nostalgia, I guess. So Mrs. Crutchfield heard her whispering and told her to share whatever she was saying with the entire class, which was kind of embarrassing for her. But yeah, Mrs. Crutchfield also mentions that they are going to the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kit factory the next week, and the whole class cheers. Here we switch to Peyton at home with her mom helping with dinner. They kind of make fun of Mrs. Crutchfield here because Mrs. Crutchfield also used to teach Peyton's mom home economics, and she was even old back then, so that kind of says how old she is. I mean, it doesn't say directly, but yeah, it just shows that she's pretty old. Not really sure how old, but yeah. Anyway, so her mom is confused about why Peyton took that class and says that Marley talks her into a lot of things that she wouldn't normally do. Peyton thinks her mom doesn't like Marley, but her mom always denies it. She's like, "No, I like her. She's just she's a little too free," I guess. That's kind of what she thinks. So later when Peyton is working on her homework, Marley messages her and they go someplace called the Tasty Cone to get some ice cream. Before going, Peyton rushes through her homework doing what she knows is a terrible job because she just wants to go hang out with Marley, I guess. On their way to the Tasty Cone, a kid on a bike almost crashed because he was staring at Marley because she's apparently beautiful. "Hey, Marley, are you free this Saturday?" What? Anyways, when they're at the Tasty Cone, there's a group of boys at the table behind theirs. One of the boys was named Sean, and Marley seems to like him, and someone told her that he liked her too. When they were leaving, they walked past his table and said hi to him, and the other guys at the table kind of made fun of him for that because Marley said hi to him, I guess because teenagers. So yeah, then they go to the park and feed some ducks, which kind of reminds me of Mr. Hippo, but yeah. So she realizes it's getting dark, and she was told to go home before dark, so yeah, she just goes home here. When she gets home, though, a girl named Abigail is on her own porch. Abigail used to be Peyton's best friend. I swear the beginning of this story is literally a carbon copy of what He Told Me Everything, but yeah, whatever. Anyways, that was a bad story, so hopefully this one doesn't end up that way. Spoiler alert, it kind of does. So when she goes inside, her mom is a bit angry about her being late, and she thinks she was more responsible when she was friends with Abigail, but not much anymore than now that she's friends with Marley. So then we skip ahead to the day of the Pizza Kit factory tour. At the tour, they would make their own pizza kits, which would be delivered to the class next day. So when they got on the bus, Sean notices Marley and falls into the person in front of him, which is kind of funny. Marley thinks he's building up the courage to ask her out. I should mention the culinary arts classes on the trip too. That's why there's boys. So, and more importantly, that's why there's Sean, although he doesn't do anything. So, yeah. Marley and Peyton kind of make fun of Freddy's here, saying it's for babies and the pizza's bad and stuff, but Peyton is at least happy to be taking a break from doing stuff with eggs. So then the factory manager, Mrs. Bryant, shows up to tell them about the rules and stuff. She's wearing a Chica costume as well. Also, I'd like to remind you all that this book is littered with a bunch of mistakes, as I said before. Quote from the book, "Please play close attention." Yup, play attention. Makes total sense. Even writing this script, the Google Doc is literally trying to correct it. So, anyways, the students are given hats to keep hair from ending up in pizza because that would be disgusting. It's really loud in the factory, so they have to wear earplugs. Mrs. Bryant said actually had to use a megaphone to be heard over the noise. So yeah, they just go through the tour. They are told to fill out the cards they're given with the toppings they'd like on their pizza kits. Again, we got another mistake. Previously, Mrs. Bryant was referred to as a Mrs. Here, she's said to be a Miss. God, book. Did the proofreaders? Why can't I speak today? Did the proofreaders just have their hands in their pants when they were checking over this? Like, seriously, why is there so many mistakes? Okay, so Marley is actually getting bored here, and she says that they should start exploring the factory by themselves. Peyton is hesitant because she actually is enjoying the tour, but she ends up going anyway. When they went upstairs, up some stairs, Peyton was really worried she would fall off the platform they were on and maybe into a steaming vat of tomato sauce. So she wanted to go back down, and Marley says, "Not yet, not yet." Marley realizes Peyton is scared and tries to calm her down. She jumps up and down trying to show her that it's safe, but Peyton sees that it's giving the platform is giving in a little and creaking. So Marley tries showing her even leaning on the railing is safe, and so she shoots herself towards the railing to try to show that it's safe. But let's just say it's not so safe. Marley shoots through the railing and disappears into the steam below them. Peyton understandably freaks out and screams, so she goes down to look for Marley, but she can't find her. She doesn't know if it's possible for someone to fall into a vat of steaming sauce and survive. But then she heard movement in one of the vats. Then we get another mistake where the book calls Peyton Marley. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the movement stops, and Peyton doesn't know if it was real or her imagination. She starts worrying even more, thinking she might be blamed for what happened to Marley, and people might think she even pushed Marley in or something. She thought it was too late to save Marley. So when they got back on the bus, Mrs. Crutchfield notices Marley is gone, so she calls her parents. Later, when Peyton was at home, Marley's mom had called them. She was really worried, obviously, understandably. They talked a little bit about what happened and how Marley is missing. When they hang out, Peyton's mom tries comforting Peyton, but it doesn't exactly help much. So she went for a walk to clear her head. It doesn't work. When she came back home, Abigail was outside again, and they talk a little bit. Abigail is reading a book about a missing girl, which makes Peyton even more uncomfortable. Abigail has a cat named Jack, which is interesting considering the main character of the first story in this book is named Jack. Maybe the cat is Fazbear. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, they're just talking for a bit. Abigail mentions that someone said they'd heard a scream at the factory. Peyton thought maybe Marley had screamed as she fell, but she's a bit dumb considering Peyton was the one who screamed, but I guess she forgot or something. Or maybe that was just another mistake. So Peyton and Abigail say they should hang out more again, but I feel like this is just filler, to be honest, because it goes nowhere. So yeah, Peyton is just feeling guilty about Marley and not telling anybody what happened. She starts crying during dinner and asks to be excused, and she is. Her mother tries comforting her with her some more and brings her food. So that night she has a nightmare where Freddy Fazbear has a bag of Marley's body parts and drops each one of them into a pot of quote-unquote tomato sauce. The next day at school, she was called into the office where there was a police officer named Officer Jacobs and her mother waiting for her. He just asks her some questions, some understandable questions, like when did you see her missing, did she tell you she was leaving, stuff like that. So we cut to Peyton back in home ec, and the pizza kits have arrived. So everyone goes to get theirs. When a girl named Hannah went to get hers, she asked if there was one with Marley's name on it, but there wasn't because she hadn't filled out the toppings yet before she went missing. Honestly, I don't know what the point of that paragraph was, where just Hannah goes out, "Hey, does she have her pizza kit?" That didn't go anywhere. It was pointless. Anyway, when Peyton got hers, she kept worrying about whether her pizza kit had tomato sauce or blood on it. She was really scared about it. So she also thinks about thought for some reason, what would the first way you would die be if you fell into that vat of boiling tomato sauce? Whether it would be drowning, getting boiled, or the giant paddles always stirring the sauce, like banging into you and murdering you. So when Peyton opens her pizza kit, it doesn't look right. Red liquid is pooling at the bottom of the box. The crust looks more like the color of human skin, and the pepperoni felt more smooth, unlike pepperoni. She felt sick when she thought about eating it, but she kind of feels like she has to in order to not draw suspicion to herself. So when she went to cook her pizza, red liquid drops onto the floor. When it was done cooking, we get quote from the book, "Pizza time." I'm so happy we got pizza time.
Pizza time.
So she takes her pizza to her table and stares at it. She pokes it and it feels fleshy. When she finally works up the courage to eat it, it tastes wrong. When she chews, it felt less like it was breaking down and more like it was getting bigger, but she forced it to swallow. She doesn't enjoy herself eating it at all. Mrs. Crutchfield even asks if she is okay. Afterwards, she feels sick, and Peyton even feels like maybe she should become a vegetarian. It's so bad. So she doesn't like the thought of eating her pot roast for dinner that night. She doesn't like the thought of that. So she goes up to her room, but she starts feeling like her stomach is expanding and contracting as if something is trying to get out. Is this in the flesh part 2? I gotta say, it's not nearly as good. So Peyton remembers a TV show where a tapeworm lived in a woman's stomach, and she set a piece of steak on her tongue to lure it out of her stomach and pulled it out. Peyton thought she could try this. She thinks maybe she had swallowed a worm too, or something like that. So she goes downstairs, grabs meat, and goes back upstairs. She puts the meat on her tongue, and it disgusts her. She feels the need to throw up. She runs to the bathroom and stares at her reflection in the mirror. Her skin has changed colors to a kind of gray. Eventually, whatever was in her stomach started moving up her throat. When it was visible in the mirror, she saw that it was fingers, with nails painted the same colors as Marley's. She was too scared to see what it was and tried to push the hand back down. It shot out of her mouth, then jumped back down her throat. She tries convincing herself that none of it was real, but then she felt and saw lumps inside her throat. Then it moved up to her face. Peyton's eyes started bulging until they literally shoot out of her eye sockets. She started throwing up everything else. Some stuff came out of her ears too, so she couldn't hear anything. Some came out of her empty eye sockets. She fell into all the stuff on the ground, which seemed to be the remains of Marley or maybe tomato sauce or something. This is honestly weird, but I have a theory later. So then we learn that this whole scene, everything after she went up to her room, was all a goddamn dream. So she wakes up again and feels like she needs to throw up, but she doesn't want whatever she throws up to be in the house, so she goes outside and throws up hard. She goes back inside and tries to sleep, but she hears a noise. She thinks maybe it's Marley, but she's worried that Marley is mad at her. Then the doorbell rings, and Peyton is so scared she climbs out her window for some reason. So then the doorbell rings. Now we actually cut to Marley, and she's alright, which I find weird. So apparently she has a boyfriend. Wait, what? Since when? When did you get a boyfriend? That never happened. Sean's not your boyfriend, and you like Sean, so were you cheating? Like, were you thinking of cheating or something? Like, what? I kind of feel like this isn't the real Marley, to be honest. I feel like it might be a Fazgoo clone, but I don't want to believe it because Fazgoo sucks. But anyways, yeah. She hears a thud on the other side of the house, and so she goes to investigate and finds Peyton's dead body with a broken neck, seemingly looking at Marley. But since she was dead, obviously she couldn't actually be looking at her. But yeah, Peyton died. Marley screamed. The end. Honestly, I didn't like the story. I liked the lore, but like the story itself wasn't great. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it either. So now let's get into the details I found in the story. Number 1. As I said in a previous video, it is not uncommon for female characters in the Fazbear Frights books to have blonde hair and blue eyes, and Marley does. Blonde hair and blue eyes are the exact colors as Susie's hair and eyes. A character from To Be Beautiful is also said to be beautiful, just like Marley is said to be beautiful, and also has blonde hair and blue eyes, but I forgot what her name was. Either way, it seems kind of like a connection. Anyways, number 2. The Chica costume Mrs. Bryant is wearing still has the words "Let's Eat" on the bib, but interestingly, scribbled in marker below it says pizza. So the bib actually says "Let's Eat Pizza," and I just find that a little odd. Number 3. This story is like a mix of He Told Me Everything and Blackbird, and a bunch of other stories like In the Flesh and stuff. But yeah, Marley is like Sam, and Peyton is like Noel. This would also mean Marley represents the crying child, and Peyton is Mike. The beginning of the story is also just like the beginning of He Told Me Everything in a way, as I mentioned earlier. Number 4. When Peyton goes for a walk alone, she ends up at a corner street by Brook and Branch. Very creative street names. So I looked on Google Maps to see if I could actually find any streets by these names that intersect. I couldn't find anything though. But I did find a street called Branch Brook Park Drive. The area in the book is by the ice cream parlor and the park they had been at before. The park. And like I said, in real life, there's Branch Brook Park Drive, and by this road is a pond, and in the story they feed ducks at the pond at the park. In real life, the street is in New Jersey. Honestly, I doubt all this was intentional, but if not, it's a lot of a coincidences rolled into one, so I just thought I should mention it. Number 5. Peyton having nightmares is likely a reference to the FNAF 4 nightmares, further proving we play as Mike and not the crying child. And I don't understand why people still don't realize that we play as Mike, even though at this point it is literally factual, but whatever. Number 6. Marley is said to be the kind of person who holds grudges. With Marley being seemingly a crying child parallel, this could even further prove FNAF 4 being crying child torturing Mike. So yeah, those are all the details I found. So now let's move on to the lore in this story. I think the dream towards the end of the story is a parallel to Ennard. Here's why. There's something inside this parallel who is a parallel to Mike. Her skin changes color to gray, changing color just like how Mike turns purple. She keeps looking at herself in a mirror like Mike does at the end of Sis Location. Something literally moves inside her, like how Ennard is inside Mike. She literally loses her eyes, which, I mean, Mike's eyes kind of change colors. Not sure if they're, like, actually gone or if they're just, like, a different color, but whatever. So, yeah, she ends up throwing everything up. Yeah, all of that rolled into one. If that's not a parallel to Ennard, I don't know what is. It ends up being a dream, which connects to FNAF 4, but still, what happens in the dream seems heavily connected to Ennard. I also think this story is most of all about the true guilt Mike feels after the bite of 83, which I think is a good type of story. I feel like it wasn't executed too well, but I think that's what it was supposed to be. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do leave a like and subscribe. Stay tuned for my summary video on the Stitch Wraith epilogue, which will be out as soon as I can get it out. Hopefully that'll be tomorrow, but yeah. I'll see you all in the next video. Impulsive and out, and peace.